Right. We are sitting here with Erick Kirks of Johnson Automotive, marketing director there. And the only thing we know about you is that
You know Jordan.
you know Jordan. You've been, okay, so I know three things. You know Jordan, you've been with them for 10 years, and you've been in the automotive industry for over 30?
Around 30, yeah.
Wow.
And
look at
it's in Raleigh.
that. Raleigh.
Yes.
See,
Raleigh.
There
we
you go.
remember. Okay,
We remember
so
all the stuff.
It is so fun when our first conversation is actually in person, because you have a lot of conversations on LinkedIn or on a Zoom
Right,
call.
right.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into automotive, and what led you to be in marketing?
Yeah. So I kind of grew up around used cars. My dad sold used cars out of the driveway. And so
Oh, wow.
it's kind of a side gig. And so I kind of grew up learning how to recon cars and also learning how to merchandise cars, which back then it was a 5-liner in the newspaper, right? And so,
Right. Yeah.
So fast forward to
99,
college.
95.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful interior.
Power the PWR
Yeah.
this.
PWR locks,
Right.
PWR.
$29.95.
Yes.
OBO. You had 25 characters, so you had to be very specific
Yeah.
about how you wrote them.
Just
That's
get ready
amazing.
for Twitter's 140.
I wish we only
character
used
limit.
25 characters still today.
It makes you say what matters.
Say what matters.
no
right.
disclaimers. Like you didn't have all these disclaimers.
Right, you couldn't even, didn't even need to put anything.
Right,
That's
right.
great. Yeah.
So yeah, fast forward to college. I started college and worked through a car dealership all the way through college.
Wow.
Started out on the wash rack. I'll age myself now. It was $3.85 an hour, and learned how to wash cars for delivery. Morphed into learning how to do full detail, and as I progressed through college, I decided that I wanted to be a marketing major. So I switched from business management to marketing. Got into marketing. Of course, back then it was all traditional. There was no really digital to speak of.
That's right.
So I actually learned my digital in automotive by when I graduated. I graduated college in '96, right when the internet was really starting to impact automotive, and it wasn't going to happen in Wilmington, North Carolina, on the East Coast.
Right.
And so I decided to relocate to Southern California. Got involved with some of the .com startups in the early era of automotive.
Wow, yeah.
So I worked for a lot of different companies out there. Eventually moved back to North Carolina in 2004, transferred back with one of those companies. I was working all up and down the East Coast. So by now I had the retail side, I had the obviously the marketing acumen with my degree, and then learning sort of the digital as it was coming about. I was really able to sort of influence and create some of those early products of lead gen, special finance online, and those kinds of things in the late 90s, early 2000s. Transferred back to North Carolina, was operating dealers up and down the East Coast. So I got to work with a lot of different dealer groups, publics and privates, of all brands and all different kinds of markets. So it's
What an experience.
really a lot of fun.
So what led you to head back to retail?
Yeah, so I took a break. I had been in automotive for so long. I got into, back then, starting to sell different kinds of lead gen products to dealers. This new objection was coming out called SEO. I didn't know what SEO was.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I started, researching SEO and playing around with it myself. And I figured out I was pretty good at it. So I ended up wondering if I was always going to be in automotive, or if there was maybe some other industry that I might enjoy better. And so I actually started my own digital agency, and I started an e-commerce company. They both were sort of experiments and sort of my entrepreneurial efforts of trying to get out of automotive. Like,
Yeah, right,
you know,
right.
You know how it is.
Yeah,
You try to get out.
look, everybody's tried to get out
and
at
you
one
just-
point or
you
the other.
can't
Yeah,
do it.
you can't do it.
It's in your
Grass
blood.
isn't greener.
No, it's not. So anyway, that was like a 6-year journey of build this e-commerce company. It kind of blew up, but I realized that I liked building it but not running it. And so I sold it off to another operator. The digital agency was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot, but it wasn't a good model because I chose to work with anyone but car dealers. It's hard to scale that.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that was about 6 years into that. And I just decided I missed cars, I missed automotive, and I had some contacts at Johnson. I grew up in Raleigh, so I knew the dealer groups there, and when
Knew
it
the
was time-
market, knew the people, knew how people
yeah,
think.
I knew
how they
where I
act.
would. Yeah, I knew where I
Absolutely.
would want to go back and work in retail.
Oh, what a great
And so it was
story.
a good timing for all of us.
So
Yeah.
So now that you're firmly tucked in where you're at, what are you paying attention to in 2024? A lot of things are changing. We were talking like the new normal is that there is no normal.
Right.
So what are your focuses heading into 2024?
So I'll say, like, one of the biggest things this year that I'm here to really research more is and get a handle on is how we are utilizing first party data. That's kind of the big thing. CDPs, first party data. We have traditionally been, very strong in digital, and a part of that has been what I've always called almost redundant retargeting, because if you get someone to your website once,
I get it. Yeah.
98% of them aren't doing anything, and so they're just looking around. They're not converting in any way for us to follow up with them. So if they've taken the step to choose me as a dealer to visit over the competitors, if I can retarget them and get them back, I have a better chance of converting them into that conversation. At the end of the day, digital is just about creating an opportunity to have a conversation to sell a car.
Right.
And so it's not about a lead or a chat or a text or anything. It's just however that conversation looks. So now with first-party data, we have to fill in that retargeting gap that's been lost with cookies going away.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a big conversation. Like,
No
how
doubt.
do we fill that gap of a customer acquisition tool when we can't understand who exactly was there?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or not exactly who they are, but like what they were doing everywhere else, and is that person important enough for me to continue to chase after?
Right. Are they actually in market?
Yep.
And then, at the end of the day, like we have to get back to the basics, right? And so from an advertising standpoint, all throughout the last few years when things were great, we didn't really cut back a whole lot.
Yep.
We kept going hard because we figured, we have an opportunity to grow market share.
And did that really happen? Because that's something that comes up every time something happens and people pull back. We're out here saying like, oh, no, if you have the guts to do it, you're going to come out of this far ahead. So you did that. You kept your foot down on the marketing, thinking and believing the truth that you would grow market share. Is that what happened?
It is.
And talk about what happened actually.
So we already had some stores that were pretty high volume leaders. In this, sometimes we're number one in the state, sometimes we're number one in the district or the region. We were able to secure some of that as competition never stays the same, right?
Yep.
They always continue to adapt.
Someone
and get better.
figures something out, you gotta.
Right. And so we've maintained a lot of our positions as volume leaders, and we've enhanced that some. And it's also allowed us to pick up some new points, some new acquisitions, and also some new open points.
Wow.
So
Very
it's been
cool.
Lots of opportunity coming from
Yeah.
that.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
wow.
That's awesome.
Well, look, it was so much fun to get to know you a little bit. I know this is the beginning. It's probably one of many times we're going to get to spend time together.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So thanks for sharing a minute with us here, sharing your story, and thanks for kind of leading the way in a lot of senses.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot,
thanks,
guys.
Eric.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.